Hi everybody, I hope you've all had a really good week. In today's video I'm going to talk about recovery, though I'm not really sure what I'm really going to talk about. I only really do a video when I kind of have a clear idea about what I'm talking about and I'm confident in what I'm saying and I know I've got a clear point, but I don't really for this one. I've decided to kind of go along with it. I'm just going to kind of let my ideas flow, I have a few wrote down, but nothing, in comparison to everything I can talk about regards to recovery. Because it's kind of like doing a vlog and just kind of letting my ideas flow and seeing how it goes, really. So yes, recovery from mental health problems, mental illness. I don't really like the word mental illness, but I think mental health problems is, an overall thing that you can say because anyone can have mental health problems. It's not so much about the illness. Everyone has a mental health, so yeah. I think the big thing about recovery is obviously you have to admit you have a problem. I think it's really hard to go through recovery in denial because if you're not recognising your problem, you don't really know what you're trying to recover from, which is a bit of point blank obvious. But I know some people who are in recovery that are still in denial. I'm not really sure how that works. I'm not dissing anyone that's maybe in that position. Maybe they're doing it for others, or they're doing it to try and show that they're not in a denial, but they really are. I don't know, but a big thing about recovery is maybe you do need to get out of denial. A lot of people don't accept they've had a problem until after the recovery, which is fine. If that's how it works for you, of course that's fine, but I think maybe it will help if you admit that you do have a problem. But at the same time, in counselling sessions, I've not said stuff before because I refuse to talk about it, because with talking about it, it's admitting it's a problem and it's making it an issue, in the respect that if I didn't say anything, I'll just get on with it like it wasn't a problem, and by making it a problem it makes it more of a bigger thing and more of a bigger thing to deal with. So by keeping it quiet, I don't have to deal with it. But in that respect, I'm not recovering from it in a sense, So I don't know. I don't know how it would work for you, but I think getting over that first hurdle and maybe just just admitting you have a problem doesn't mean you have to accept it or anything like that. Just try and admit it, because like I said, if you can't admit you've got a problem, you don't really know what you're trying to recover from. So yeah, the next thing I was going to say was about recovery for yourself. And this is a big thing that I am all for, because I have so many people who message me on my personal channel, if you're watching this on Fighting for Hope, saying to me things like, oh, I ate today because of my parents, or, I did this to make my parents happy, or I did this to cover this up. In recovery, you have to do this for yourself, and I don't think recovery will really work if you're doing this with other people. It's like when people go to inpatient and they're still in denial and they're still so against recovery. Take an anorexia for example. When somebody goes into inpatient with anorexia, they eat for other people because, it's upsetting time, of course it is. And then when they get out, a lot of people relapse for the fact that they did it for other people, they didn't do it for themselves, and if you're not doing it for yourself, then you're not going to overcome it. So you've got to do it for yourself. I really, if you're doing it for other people, then gosh, I don't really know how to say it, but I just think it's wrong that people recover for other people. I'm not saying if you're recovering for someone else you're in the wrong. I'm saying I feel like it's such a wrong thing. I don't know if people are guilting to do it. I know a lot of people are tripped into doing it because they feel so guilty for what they're putting other people through. So they do put on this front and pretend things, you know, are better when they're not, just to kind of help other people. And you know, I've done it for my mum. I've done so many things like that for my mum just because I didn't want to upset her, and I've ate for my mum, and that is so wrong. I shouldn't be made to feel like that. So, you know, when recovery starts, you've got to do it for yourself. I don't really know how other way I can put it, but doing it for other people it just doesn't work like that, you know. This is your problem that, you know, you've got to get over for yourself, because if you don't get it over for yourself, then there's kind of not really as much point. Though I guess some people will say, well, it's not really to do with them, it's about other people. And I used to think like that, thinking, you know, I don't need to recover myself, I don't really care what happens to me, I'm only going to do this for other people. And that's generally what I used to be like. But then I realised, you know, what's the point of doing it for other people? You know, and if I'm doing it for other people, then I'm basically just living a fake life. And what's the point of living a fake life? So I realised, you know, I needed to be doing this for myself. It wasn't so much about other people. Of course, other people come into it, but it wasn't so much about other people. So, you know, I learnt that I need to do this for myself, though I learnt that the hard way, because I lived this fake life for so long that those feelings that I wasn't but needed to get out built up so much that I just had a breakdown, a horrible breakdown. It was one of the worst times of my life, without a doubt. You know, and that took a long time to get over as well. It was just a really hard time. You know, no one's really labelled it. You know, my mum said, you know, you had a breakdown, but nobody really labelled it as a breakdown. It was kind of, yeah, I don't really want to get into all that anyway. But that moves on to my next point, that it's not about thinking about the past. And this is something that I watched in one of Nate's videos. I've got down what he said. That you have to forget what's happened in the past in terms of thinking, hang on. You have to think about what happened in the past in a positive way and accept yourself as you are now, not thinking that you wish you had done something differently. So thinking back to the past and wishing things were different, or wish you did something different, because you can't change that now. And that is a big thing that a lot of people in recovery think back to. They think, oh, you know, if I'd started then I could be recovered now, or, you know, if I'd done that this wouldn't have happened. And you've got to stop thinking that, because it doesn't matter now, it's happened and you can't change that. So you just got to think, you know, that's happened, I can't change that, this is my life now. And, you know, I use what's happened in the past in a positive way and try and learn from it, you know, especially through my diaries, because that's where I really write down my true feelings now. And when I look back then, when I look back at them, I can see things a lot clearer, and I can see things of what really was going on, and it helps me to recover, and it helps me to move on each day and to get on with things. And it is important to look at the past, but not try and change the past, because you can't. And if you try and keep doing that, you're not really going to get anywhere. It's like, okay, take a diet for example. You know, when somebody diets, and they go like on a quick fast starvation diet, or, you know, just a really, well, I guess low calorie still starvation really, isn't it? And, you know, they do that for a couple of weeks and lose a bit of weight maybe, and then they gain it all back, and then they do that again, and then they gain it all back. A lot of people, you know, including myself, you know, I've done this a lot, and I've got back to the weight I was, okay, I won't really use me as an example because I'm not really an example, but say you start in January and then comes June you're still the same weight as you was in January, although it's dipped in and out as the months have gone on, and you realise that if you just stuck to a healthy diet for those 6 months, then you would be at a lot better, maybe weight or a lot more toned. And people don't really take that kind of into... Okay, I don't really need to go into diets, do I? But yeah, you can't think like that, because that happens. And then don't think, oh, well, if I start a starvation diet now, then I'm really going to stick to it this time. That's not how it works. You can't keep going over mistakes. And a lot of people are trying to mend mistakes that they've done, and you know, that's a really positive thing to do. It really is, as long as you don't keep falling into the same, you know, kind of holes that you did before. That's the whole point. You got to learn from your mistakes. Kind of feel I'm going a bit off topic in a sense, but I hope you're kind of getting my point across that I'm trying to get across. You know, we all have that strength. It's just finding it. It really is. We all have strength inside of us. It's just finding it. And if we can find that strength through recovery, then I like to think that we can all overcome it. You know, even people who have suffered, gosh, for so many years, have recovered. You know, depends what you're really talking about here. You know, people with OCD, people with anxiety, eating disorders. I know a lot of people with eating disorders say, you know, it's kind of one of those things that's with you forever. And I think with a lot of mental illnesses, that sometimes is the story, really. But it's something that you learn to deal with, and it's something you learn to kind of cope with in your everyday life. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's just one of those things, but it's something that if you want recovery enough, that you're willing to kind of, you know, fight against. But I know a lot of people still consider themselves recovered, even though things sometimes do come into life. Sometimes you get a bit of a twig about something. But I don't know, you know what, it's just, recovery is just, oh gosh, I don't really know what to say. It's such, this subject is so kind of broad, and I'm so passionate about obviously recovery and wanting people to get better. You know, that's my aim. You know, I want to help people. But there's just so much that I want to kind of give to you all, and tell you all, but really it's only really you that can do it. You know, although this isn't something about other people necessarily, some people are different in the fact that they have other people supporting them, or they go through recovery on themselves. Though, you know, it's proven that a lot of people recover more or easier or quicker when they have help, and that might be professional help or help from friends and family, but also when you recover on yourself, you know, by yourself, it shows a hell of a lot of strength and a lot of independence. And I know people who have gone through recovery on their own and have shown so much strength, and you know, just prove to themselves how much strength, you know, they have got and how much you can get through. But I think it is nice to have that bit of support around you. Of course it's nice to have that support around you. Who wants like a bit of support here and there, you know? I think I'm going to wrap it up now, because there's so much to say, and I don't want to start another subject now, because I think time's running out. So yeah, just kind of taking a bit what I've got. I'm going to try and maybe put it a bit easier so you understand it, and this is something that I want to continue and do another video on about recovery. If you're in recovery, best of luck, seriously. I'm all for anyone who wants to go through recovery, through anything, whatever they're going through. And I'm always happy to be here for anyone that needs a bit of support, or needs that extra guidance, or that bit of extra motivation. So that's it really. So yeah, watch out for another video, everybody, and have a brilliant week. And as always, thanks for watching.